explains what we're doing. There's a product called Moringa aloe vera, and this product is a superfood. It comes from a tree called the moringa tree, and literally it's the leaf of the tree ground up, and that's all it is. No fillers, no nothing else. It's not made in a laboratory. It grows in Africa, in Hawaii, in Afghanistan, in India, and it grows wild. So we don't have to cultivate it, it grows wild. And this particular product is what I'm talking about when I'm reading these testimonials from two people who used to be very sick. My daughter Christina went to college in Colorado on a volleyball scholarship in the fall of 2010. She had an amazing season and was chosen Freshman of the Year. Christy had always been very strong and very full of energy. She started having some difficulty at the end of her season with recovery time. She was experiencing headaches, fatigue, brain fog. The symptoms were mild at first, and she pushed through it. She had to stop playing volleyball. We started seeing doctors, pediatricians, sports medicine, endocrinologists, rheumatologists, neurologists. This is what you do when you have chronic fatigue syndrome. You see every doctor and specialist in the world. And they ended up a year and a half later, after she was sick for a year and a half, at the Mayo Clinic. The Mayo Clinic diagnosed her with chronic fatigue syndrome, but didn't know what to do with it, so sent her to an integrative medicine doctor, and they just told her how to adjust her lifestyle and sent her back. So she stopped playing volleyball. Her life basically was homebound. She was in college and basically being sent her studies like Jenny was her first year at college, but not going to class. Christy made arrangements to come home for Easter break and stay and leave college. The weekend that she came home is the weekend I met her. So she came to my home, and I connect with, as parents and kids, people call me in the neighborhood, she's a neighborhood kid. Some parent recommended to some parent. I had both the mother and the daughter in my home and talking to them, and she was very, very sick. That weekend that I met her, she started taking, 5 days prior to that weekend, she started taking this moringa. Literally what it is, it's a powder you put in water, you mix it up, you drink it like lemonade. It tastes like diluted lemonade. And she took it twice a day. And this particular tea, made out of the root of the moringa tree, she took it every other day. That's all this was. I spoke to her a week after she started taking this, and she said, she smiled for the first time in a year. She's starting to feel well, and her brain is not as foggy. So she asked her mother, can I go back to school? I still have 3 weeks of school. I had left school. She went back to school. As she was taking this and continued taking this religiously. She went to school, she finished out her school, and she said, I don't really have headaches anymore. I don't really have fatigue anymore. I don't know what's happening, but I feel so good. She came home for the summer. She came home invigorated with life, and before starting back at college, she actually climbed a 14,000-foot mountain because she could. She's now a substitute back on the college volleyball team. She's not joining it full-time right now, but she's doing it part-time as a substitute. The mother wrote, I'm hopeful that this product will help many more people get their life back as well. It has been an amazing journey. Well, I saw this girl, and I see her now, and I saw her now. In a week. As sick as Jenny was, if someone had told me that she could be well in 2 weeks, I mean, obviously I wouldn't have believed it, and I wouldn't have even started on her on it probably, because I wouldn't have thought it would help anyway. This mother knew about this from the woman I'm going to read the next testimonial to, which is why she gave it to her daughter. This is from a woman, Diane. I want to give you some idea of where I started and how far I've come. I had fibromyalgia, Epstein-Barr virus, CFS, and Lyme disease for more than 30 years. I had never thought I'd be well again. My doctors gave up on me. I had many infections by that time on many antibiotics and antifungals. It was a vicious cycle. I could no longer feel my feet on the floor, yet they felt like they were broken. I had brain freeze, migraines 24/8. I could not think at all. I was so toxic. I was burning hot and freezing at the same time. My liver and kidneys were not functioning. Even in the hospital IVs, my body was not absorbing any medication or nutrients. I was desperate. I had a clinical nutritionist that suggested that I go on Moringa. At first, I wasn't even interested. It certainly wasn't going to help me. Finally, there was nothing else to try, and they told me I had to do something and get my affairs in order, so I decided to try the Moringa. The first thing I noticed was some mental clarity and energy. Then the pain was lessening. I had a lot to overcome because I was on strong pain meds and other drugs. I now feel for the first time since I was in my 20s, and I am 56. I am able to exercise, make plans, and have pain-free days. My memory is back. I am pleasant to be around and loving life every day. It was an extreme case of CFS and fibromyalgia, and something was done about it. I'm so excited to be alive and well. What I left you on your chair there is a report by Johns Hopkins that actually looked into this. And that was the most scientific thing I found out there, because since it is a superfood type thing, like a vitamin, like you take a one-a-day vitamin, drug companies don't want to put money to it, government's not going to put any money to it, people who aren't doing clinical trials on it, nobody's studying it, but a lot of people are taking it because people tell people. So we are raising money right now, Don and I with NIDA, to do a clinical trial, and a real clinical trial. So when I asked Andy about it, he said, we do it scientifically. It's the only way to do it. So you have to have tests. You don't just give a person the Moringa and say, okay, let me know how you feel. That's not a clinical trial. You have to have patients, you have to have placebos, and we will do some testing before, and we'll do some testing after. And we'll have some measurables before and after. One of them including natural killer cells. And then we're going to test 30 patients. And if this really helps even 10% of them, I mean, God, it's a miracle. I mean, it's just is. So it may help a subset of certain patients. It may help some patients. We're hoping it does, but we have no idea. It's a test, so. But we're very, very excited about it. So.